Hello everyone, hope all of you are fine. But this lecture is also in continuation of chapter 15 and name of the chapter is Framing the Constitution. So in previous lecture we were discussing about the demand of separate electorates for Muslims and other oppressed communities. So regarding this, one of the most important constituent assembly member, Ranga, he mentioned that the tribals had among its representatives to the assembly, and that person was who was from the tribal group. He was Jaipal Singh, and he spoke about the objective resolution. He said that as an Adivasi, I am not expected to understand the legal formation of the resolution, but my common sense tells me that every one of us should march in that road to freedom and fight together. So, if there is any group of Indian people that has been treated shabbily, it is my people. It means now in independent India, there should not be any kind of inequality like in pre-independence time, that the most deprived class was untouchables, like those people, they were not allowed to enter in the temple, or they were not allowed to dine with others. So even these untouchables, they have been disgracefully treated, and they have been neglected for the last 6000 years. So the whole history of my people is one of the continuous exploitation and dispossession by the non originals of India, and they were also punctuated by rebellions and disorder. Yet I take Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru at his word. I take you all at your word that now we are going to start a new chapter. So this was the basic idea that was given in the objective resolution, that now like after getting independence we are just going to start a new chapter. So it should be a new beginning for every category. So in this independent India there should be equality of opportunity, and where no one would be neglected. So the demand was there for the separate electorate. As this idea of separate electorate, it was opposed by many assembly members. So now they are to find out some other solution for this problem. With that, Jaipal Singh spoke that there is need to protect the tribes and ensure conditions that could help them come up to the level of the general population. As we know that these tribes, they were just as the marginalized group, they were separated from the mainstream of the society. So now they are to come up to the level of the general population. Now, and even if in numerical these tribes were not a minority, but still these people, these tribes, they needed protection because they had been dispossessed of their land they had settled, deprived of their forests and pastures, and forced to move in search of new homes. As we know that under British rule, during that British rule, these nomads or these tribal people, they were banned to enter in their forest. So this way they are to just leave their cattle also, and now they forced to move in search of new homes. So, and even they were treated as primitive and backward, and even the rest of the society had turned away from them. So he made a moving plea for breaking the emotional and physical distance that separated the tribals from the rest of the society. Like these tribals, they were separated from the main society. Now they are to just fill up that gap. So even Jaipal Singh, he was not in favor of the separate electorates, but he felt that reservation of seats in the legislature was essential to allow tribals to represent themselves. It would be a way, he said, of compelling others to hear the voice of tribals. And do you know that how this was implemented in our constitution? Like now we have 543 constituency in our country. Out of that, 84 constituencies those are reserved for scheduled caste, and 47 constituencies those are reserved for scheduled tribes. So now all these seats, all these constituencies are reserved in proportion of their population. So this way this problem was sorted out. Now the next topic related to this topic is that we were suppressed for thousands of years. As we know, these untouchables, these tribes, all these were suppressed for thousands of years. Now the question was that how were the rights of these depressed castes to be defined by the constitution? During the national movement, Ambedkar had demanded separate electorates for the depressed caste, but Mahatma Gandhi had opposed it, arguing that this would permanently segregate them from the rest of the society. So, how could the Constituent Assembly resolve this opposition? And what kinds of protection were the depressed caste to be provided? So, some members of the depressed caste emphasized that the problem of the untouchables could not be resolved through protection and safeguards alone. It can be sought out just by the upliftment of these castes. Their disabilities were caused by the social norms and the moral values of caste society. And even that caste based society had used their services and labor but kept them at a social distance, refusing to mix with them or dine with them or allow them entry into temples. So they have been suffering, but now these castes, they are not prepared to suffer more. So Nagappa pointed out that numerically the depressed castes were not a minority. They formed between 20 to 25% of the total population. So their suffering was due to their systematic marginalization, not their numerical insignificance. Means, as per the population, they were not the minority, but they were the marginalized group in the society. So, like at that time, they had no access to education, no share in the administration. So, now all these facilities should be provided to them. And as earlier Ambedkar, he was in favor of the separate electorates for these depressed caste. But after the partition violence, Ambedkar too no longer argued for separate electorates. Now the Constituent Assembly finally recommended that untouchability be abolished. This untouchability, it was abolished under Article 17 of our Constitution. And Hindu temples be thrown open to all castes, and seats in legislature and jobs in government offices be reserved for the lowest caste. From that time, the reservation system was started. Many recognize that this could not solve all problems. Social discrimination could not be erased only through constitutional legislation. There had to be change in the attitude within the society. But the measures were welcomed by the democratic public. So, beta, this way the system of reservation was introduced in the constitution, and 117 constituencies they were reserved for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. And even if we talk about the present scenario, now like one third of the seats those are reserved in the panchayat, and even the bill is also presented so that the one third of the total constituencies those will be now they are demanding reservation for women, but this bill is still pending. So now the next topic is about the powers of the state. So you must have learnt it in the class 8 or 9 also. In there you will be aware about the three lists of the constitution. So the power of the state, this topic is related to those three lists. And those three lists, in that first list is the union list, means whatever department or the subjects that will be exclusively handled by the union government. Those come under union list. And the topics or the subjects or the departments, those are the responsibilities of the states, provinces. Those come under state list. And third one is the concurrent list. In the concurrent list, whatever is mentioned, those that is the responsibility of both union government as well as the state government. So this topic, the powers of the state. So this topic was most debated in the Constituent Assembly. It was the respective rights of the central government and the states. Among those arguing for a strong center was Jawaharlal Nehru, as he put it in a letter to President of the Constituent Assembly. And according to that, he said that now the partition is settled, so it would be injurious to the interest of the country to provide for a weak central authority, which would be incapable of ensuring peace, of coordinating vital matters of common concern, and of speaking effectively for the whole country in the international sphere. So this demand was presented by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, that the central government should be very strong. So just continuing with this demand, the draft constitution provided for three lists of subjects: union, state and concurrent. The subjects in the first list were to be the preserve of the central government, while those in the second list were vested with the states. As for the third list here, center and state shared responsibility. However, many more items were placed under exclusive union control than in other federations, and more placed on the concurrent list too than desired by the provinces. Like the union, it had control of minerals and key industries. Beside, Article 356 gave the center the powers to take over a state administration on the recommendation of the governor, and the same thing happened in Jammu and Kashmir also. There also, on the recommendation of governor, the state administration was taken by the center, right? So the constitution also mandated for a complex system of fiscal federalism. Fiscal policy, beta, that is related to finance. So there was the division of taxes also, that which taxes will be collected by the states or which taxes will be collected by the center. So in the case of some taxes like custom duties and company taxes, the center retained all the proceeds and it shared them with the states. In still other cases, it assigned them wholly to the state. But in this way, the land taxes, that was the duty of provinces, and other custom taxes and company taxes, those were collected by the center. Now the states could levy and collect certain taxes on their own. These included land and property taxes, sales tax, and the hugely profitable tax on the bottled liquor. So this way all the powers of the state were divided. But then at that time also there was conflict on the fiscal policy, because in this way every time provinces had various states, they had to ask the center government for the budget. So that is why now again more debates were held, that after that the system of federalism was introduced, that the country will be governed at two levels, center level and state level. So this was a topic for today. Hope all of you have understood the topic. Thank you and have a nice day.